Natasja Lewis. So my first question is about the author bit in books. My first question is about the author bit in. I can't read this. My first question is about the author bit in books. I've been doing some research, and in most cases, I found that they read almost like a CV and are boring as hell. Do people really need to know what your education was, where you live, how many husbands, kids, children, animals, whatever you've got? Surely there's a better way to do this. How do I approach writing this section of my book and make it more interesting?
That is a really good question, Natasja. And it's something that a lot of people struggle with, because mostly on their websites, because when it comes to the about page on your website, you need to write something and everybody goes, I don't know what to write. I can't write about myself, because we find it really difficult to write about ourselves. So, and yeah, I agree. Some of them do read almost like a CV, and I don't think that is, I think that, that has its place maybe in some books, but this is your opportunity for people to find out a bit more about who you are as a person, and, not just in the context of what you're writing about. So for me, people already, in my preface, which I don't call a preface because that's stuffy, but in my preface, I talk about why I've written the book and that context, about me in that context. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. But the about the author bit is your chance to tell people anything you like, really. So, for example, in my new book, I can't even remember what I've written. Let's find out. In my new book, my about the author page is called "Really Did Run Away with the Circus," and it starts, "How does one accidentally end up with 3 tiny sheep? Be in the wrong place at the right time and come home with a surprise wonky lamb. Not a joke, this is my ridiculous and delightful life." And so that's how I start my about the author bit, and it's just like, okay, so what else do I do? And that's not just I've got these animals and blah blah blah. That's the start of a story about me and my life, and it gives you some kind of an idea of what I'm like outside of work. It's like, well, okay, so I've accidentally got 3 sheep and I came home with a wonky lamb. That automatically tells you that I'm the kind of soppy idiot who will just rescue all of the animals and bring them home.
Which is true.
And so I thought, how am I going to do this? It's not going to be one of those about the author pages where I tell you my rags to riches story, because I don't have one of those. I've never been poor, thankfully, and I'm not really what you would call rich in terms of, big piles of cash. Anyway, I think I'm rich in other ways. And so, you don't want my CV, and what exactly is my about the author page? And I've said here, it's like a little bit of a window into my brain. Not too much of a window, not opening the door too wide, because I think that would frighten people. Mm-hmm. But I thought, okay, so what do people want to know? And I was like, this is going to turn into like a really boring blah blah, CV if I'm not careful. And so I just thought, you know what, I'm going to tell people 24 things about me. And I just listed a bunch of stuff. And so one of them, for example, is I love my cats more than is socially acceptable. That is true. I do. I have a short hair attention span. My hair is currently blue and silver. Also true. Actually, it's been blue and silver for quite a long time. Mm. And maybe my hair attention span is getting longer. I spend more time than is probably sensible or sane working on my zombie plan. It's actually true as well. One of life's tiny pleasures for me is sitting outside and putting socks on. It just feels really nice.
To quote Vicky, I like putting socks on in the wind.
When did I say that? We were camping.
We were camping somewhere.
And I was putting socks on in the wind, and it was really nice. Yeah. So yeah, you can look. You're about the author section, and this goes for your website as well as your book. You can write whatever you like. Don't write a CV, because honestly, that's boring. It might be important for people to know your credentials, but I think there are other places that you can do that. And this is your chance to tell a bit more of your story, the kind of your story that isn't going to fit anywhere else in your book. What do you think?
I think that sounds reasonable. I mean, it's not a section of book that I would typically seek out or possibly read. But, so if it's got to be different. If it's even vaguely like a CV, I'm probably going to pass, unless you're the first woman on the moon or something. I'm not that bothered, mostly.
But if you read a book...
It's got to be interesting.
Yeah, it does. if you read a book that you absolutely love, and you're kind of sad that it's ended, your automatic reaction is to read everything then, isn't it? You read like the end notes and you read the references and you read the about the author section.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you've written a book that people really love and they loved every page of it, then they're going to want to know more about you. And they're going to want to know more about you anyway. So you can do that without saying, where you live, how many husbands, kids and animals you've got. You can bring that stuff into it, but you don't have to do it in...
Yeah, please don't write a really dull couple of paragraphs.
Yeah, don't write like a little boring autobiography. So I don't know if that's really helped with the how to write and about the author page.
Yeah, don't be dull. Yeah.
Don't be dull, yeah. I just think... What do people find interesting about you when you talk to them? Because the thing is, because our lives are very familiar to us because we're living them, we never think that what we do is interesting. Like, I don't think I'm particularly out of the ordinary, but you tell me that I am.
Yes, you're pretty strange.
Thanks.
But yeah, I mean, I guess the thing to do is not feel constrained by what other people do in there about the author section.
Yeah.
Because it's your book and you're interesting. So... be interesting.
Because you said some of the ones you've read are really boring, and so you can look at those and think, okay, what are the elements of this that I find boring, and then you don't do that. Go and look at the ones when you found one that you thought, oh, that's great about the author.
What have they actually done?
What have they done and how have they done it? Also, you don't have to have a really long one, and you can have... So it's a good idea to have a longer bio, which is kind of what about the author is really. A longer bio and a very short one as well, because you're going to want a really short one for interviews and things like that. And you're going to want a longer one for other places. So I hope that helps. I kind of feel like maybe it doesn't. Sorry. But your book, your rules, you can do what you like.